What's up, guys? I'm here with Obed Cruz. He has done 1 million in a month, according to his Instagram. He's got a screenshot here. It says 1 million in a month. I'll show you guys right now. Go follow him, Obed Cruz FBA on IG. Today, we're going to talk about how he did it, and this is a 100% used book. So, welcome to the Amazon Savages
Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
What's up, brother?
What's up, Romer?
Not much, man. Just another day in paradise. And you actually, I know your name from Restricted Inventory back in the day.
Grind hard, well done, sir.
You were in my SKUs. I know a lot of the community based on my SKUs. And
Yeah.
I know we had a little falling out with that. You know, that was when my accounts got shut down years ago. And Obed actually sent me a lot of textbooks. And so that's initially how I knew of your name. And then through the book selling community, Caleb Roth, Matthew Osborne, all these guys, we've all hung out together and you've always been around them. So we've actually met in person probably 2 times, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We've done a couple of events together. We did a couple meetups.
Yeah.
I should have shut my door. My dogs are in the background, but
No, that's good.
it makes
This
it
is-
more.
this is a
It makes
pod,
it more
man.
relate. It makes it
we
more
gotta keep it real.
relatable.
Yeah. So if you want to just give a brief background of like how you got started and like what you're up to right now.
My name is Obed Cruz. Like Romer said, I'm an Amazon seller. I'm 100% books, and I got started in 2018. And how I got started was I was just scrolling on Instagram. I saw some random guys post numbers, and one thing led to another, and I said I could do this. So that led me down the rabbit hole of trying to learn how to sell on Amazon. And after a couple of days, weeks of studying, I came across, might have been your content or Caleb's or Reezy, some of these guys, and they kept saying the best way to learn is books, cheapest way to learn is books. And I said, okay, let's do this. And that's how I started. I wanted to learn Amazon by selling books.
Mm-hmm. And you were doing like thrift stores and stuff, right? Starting out, just hitting up thrifts, scanning.
Yeah, that I did that, but I can't say that I did that for too long. It only lasted a couple of days. And I almost like immediately jumped straight into bulk. We could talk a little bit about that if you want, but I started by going to thrift stores and scanning books on the shelves.
Mm-hmm. And then what made you want to get into bulk, and how'd you secure your first bulk deal?
Okay, I didn't know anything about bulk. I didn't know that bulk was, it's weird to say bulk. I didn't know that, bulk. I didn't know that bulk was a thing. Everybody's content at the time, nobody was putting,
right now.
Yeah, you go.
Season, baby.
Everybody's content at the time was more like shelves and library sales and estate sales. So I had no clue. My first day, I went out to a thrift store and I thought I was scanning. I went and scanned for like, I want to say like an hour and a half, and I struck out. So I came home and I was all, mad or sad or whatever. And there was a guy on Instagram that I was following. I sent him a DM and I'm like, hey, is this for real? He said, yeah. Well, how many books did you scan? I'm like, I don't know, like 200. And he's like, bro, you have to scan like, thousands and hundreds. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. So second day I went back, it was like a day or two later, I went back to the store and I just stayed there for like 2 hours scanning every single book on that shelf. And I ended up getting some hits with my triggers. I was using, I say Scout IQ at the time. And I got, my triggers were all messed up, but I still got some FBAs. So after that, I'm like, wow, I'm going to go to another store. So then I went to another store, did the same thing, went to another store, did the same thing. So my second day in scanning books, I had like, I don't know, 95 or 100 books for FBA. And I'm like, oh, this is legit. So I go home, do some more research, and then I go out on day 3 and try to do it again. And then that's where I got into bulk. Day 3.
Mm-hmm. Day 3.
Yeah.
And how'd you land your first bulk deal?
Okay. Well, I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but this is what really happened. Okay. I show up to this store and there was a gentleman there and he looked like he just got out of bed. Like his shoes were untied, like, one of those type of guys. And he was walking around with a stack of books and he saw me go to the shelf and he just gave me this grin, like, ha, I beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, like this is the guy that I lost to. Like, this can't be it. So after scanning the shelves, I didn't really get anything. I just, for some reason, went up to the manager and said, hey, do you have any books in the back that you haven't scanned? And she's like, yeah, we have a couple boxes. And I'm like, oh, I'd be interested in buying those. And the manager was like, really? I'm like, yeah. Like, how many do you want to buy? I'm like, well, I'll take all of them. So she's like, okay. Went to the front of the store, called her GM. She's like, are you sure you want them all? I'm like, yeah, I'll take them all. She's like, okay. They're, I think it was like $50 a box at the time. And this whole entire time I'm thinking it's the Home Depot, like 12 by 12, like moving boxes. So I'm like, okay, I can handle that. She's like, let's go to the back and look. I walked to the back. It was 50 like pallet size. They call them Gaylords. 50 like pallet size boxes that she had in the back that they were been wanting to move for a long time. And I was like their savior. So I walked to the back and I'm like, what is this? So that's kind of how I got my first deal with bulk.
Mm-hmm. And how'd it go?
It went. I kind of like tried to like maneuver the situation a little bit. I'm like, well, let me take one just to test it out. And I had a pickup truck at the time. So I'm like, let me just make sure the quality's good. So I went and picked up one and they loaded it up in the back of my pickup truck. I got a photo. I'll probably send it to you if you want. And I went home and I went to my buddy's house. He had a construction house at the time. It was empty. And I'm like, hey, I got to scan some books here. So went to his house. He let me use his house. I scanned all night. It was 2 or 3 in the morning. Next day, went to dispose of them at the dump yard. And then I went back the next day and got one more. And I'm like, okay, the quality was decent. Let me get it. And then I went and got one more. And then I went and got one more. And then little by little, I started just making a dent on the pile before I ended up coming up with a different solution that was a lot easier.
Nice. And so did you pursue this relationship for like a few months, few years?
No, it was my first day there. First time ever at that thrift store.
No, but I mean, like, my bad. Did you continue this relationship? Like, did you continue?
Oh, yeah. We still have a relationship till this day, even though I've already moved out of state. To this day, we have a relationship. I continue to buy from them. I was always a reliable source. They would hold stuff for me. If my driveway at the time, which is my warehouse, my driveway was overflowing, they're like, hey, we have 30 boxes. I said, give me 4 days, 5 days. I would go over there, pay for them. They would hold them for me. So we had a really, really good relationship with this source.
Gotcha. And so what did your progression look like? It's awesome that you're still working with them now.
Yes and no. Yeah, it's become
what's
too
awesome
small.
that
Of a vendor now. They're like,
you've had this for years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. How did the processing side of things change from the day one loading stuff in your pickup truck to at what point did you start renting trucks?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever buy a truck? People are listening to this and they're like, should I get a storage unit? Should I get a warehouse? Should I process it from home? Should I even pursue bulk books? If you want to kind of talk about what did your processing look like as it progressed over the years?
Yeah. So I rented a Penske a couple of times, but it's expensive, man. It's like $300 a day.
Yeah.
That starts to cut. And when I first started this out, my cash flow really wasn't there. So after renting a couple of times, after like 4 rentals, I'm like, this is $1,200. I was on Facebook Marketplace and I found a trailer for sale, like a 24-foot trailer, and I had a pickup truck. So I'm like, I wonder if I could just throw them on the back of this trailer, and save myself the rental fees and the hassle of having to go back and return it, and the fuel and all that stuff. It was a lot easier with the Penske. I'm not gonna lie, because you could load up 12 at a time. I made it a little bit harder, but the cost cutting made up for the difference. So I saved, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month just by buying a trailer. So I bought a trailer. You could do pickups of 5 on the trailer and 1 in my pickup bed. So that's 6.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like driving down the streets with like, I think I only ever had like 10 in the back, maybe 10, maybe less. Maybe it was just 8. But when you're driving down the road with that shit, like you make one wrong turn.
Bro, I had some stories. I lost a Gaylord in the middle of the road one time. I had to stop in the street, reset it up, and just empty books in. People got out and helped me. It was crazy, man. It was definitely a wild time.
So did it just fall off on the interstate?
I didn't strap it correctly, and I took a turn too wide or too fast. And at that weight, there's not really any straps that can hold it, the shifting. So I messed up on that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And at what point did you start implementing like processing equipment? Like, did you have tables, Gaylord tippers?
Okay, so this was all done basically at my friend's construction house, number one. After that, I was like, Mom, I need to borrow your garage and move back in with you. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just doing books. And my mom was always supportive of me. She's like, yeah, okay, come on, move in and use my garage or my driveway.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's where my first warehouse was, my mom's driveway. And it was just me basically on the trailer. I would back into her driveway, unhook my trailer, and I would jump on top of the trailer and scan books from one box to another, put them into the empty. And that's pretty much what I did for a long time, 6 months, almost a year, before things really started to ramp up. And I started thinking about, okay, now I need a warehouse. Now I need.
Yeah. What gave you the vision that, because if you're going to move back with your mom, that's like that's a humble thing to do. Like you must have really believed that it was going to work out. Was it watching people online do it, or did you hear through the grapevine that people were making a lot of money with this? Because I mean, last year you posted a sales screenshot, $1 million a month. That's not nothing, So like, what kind of gave you that vision?
The fact that for about a year and a half, I was a solo. No, I had no help. And when I started doing numbers that people that had a smaller operation or they had employees, when I started kind of creeping up on their numbers as a solo seller with no equipment, no forklift, and I'm like, wow, I'm doing almost as much as this guy, or wow, look at this. When I started seeing those kind of numbers, that's when I'm like, okay, like I believe in this. Like I'm just by myself. The minute I get a warehouse, the minute I get some employees, it's on. That's what made me really believe in it. And of course, you start to see the balance snowball. You start to see the sales grow. You start to get those payouts. Once the business paid for itself, where I didn't have to come out of pocket, and once I was getting enough money to sustain my growth, that's when I'm like, okay, I don't care if I get any money. Like, I don't care if I have money for food. I don't care if I have money for anything. All I care about is just that the business pays for itself, and I'm 100% all in. So when that day happened, it was like month 4, 5, 6. When that moment hit where your balance covered all your expenses and all your books that you're going to buy, that's when I was 100% bought in.
Nice. And you never ventured in your bio on Instagram. It was something interesting. You said, something about facilitating deals for people or something. Let's see. It says, I will buy or fund your deal. Oh, is that for real estate?
Yeah, that's for real estate.
I thought you were doing like Amazon deals. I was like, oh, that's clutch. Like I thought if somebody came to you with a good lead, you were gonna like buy the ASIN.
Buy it too. If that's what you want. If you have a good deal for me, I'll buy it.
Yeah. Leave it ambiguous. See how many people reach out. Would you recommend bulk books for people in 2024?
Yes and no. Mostly no. If anything, if I could discourage somebody from going into bulk, I would happily do it. But if I can shine some light on how difficult it is and give you the correct expectations, and you still want to go into bulk, then by all means, go right ahead. But you need to understand that it's very, very difficult. It's very labor intensive. A lot of it has to do with your region, where you're at in Northwest, Southwest United States, East, Central. So a lot of factors kind of come into play. And it's not just as easy as looking at my Instagram and saying, wow, this guy's got 400 Gaylords in his warehouse. But you need to understand the amount of work that it took to get to that point. So if you think that's going to be easy and you're just going to get to where some of the other bigger sellers are at overnight, I do not recommend it. But if you understand that it's going to be a grind and you're going to be facing a lot of challenges and you're still up for it, then I would say, let's do it.
Did you ever get pulled into like online arbitrage or retail arbitrage or wholesale?
That was the idea. I originally got into Amazon to do private label, and I wanted to do some OA, some RA. I was just so busy with books. It was so overwhelming, the amount of books that I had as a solo seller, and even like having 1 or 2 employees, that I had no time for it. So it always looked good on paper, like, oh, I wish I could just stay on my laptop and source, or I wish I could go to Nike and get all these cool shoes that people are buying and make all this profit. But I just stuck to books because I had no, I didn't have the time. So it did look good, but I think what allowed me to grow and allow us to get bigger is just that I just kept my head down and focused 100% on books.
Right. Yeah, that's usually how it is. Yeah. What's like the craziest thing that's happened to you in the book business?
Like So many things. I mean, we've had
Is
people
there
get
like,
injured. We've had,
I guess like a story you can like what would you put like in your autobiography or biography if you had one, like just a crazy book story? Like if they made a Netflix special on Booksellers, is there any story that is Netflix worthy that you can share?
we've had so many. I mean, just off the top of my head, craziest thing that happened is at my second warehouse, our forklift driver clipped our electrical panel and he broke a $10 part. And because the panel was outdated and they didn't make that part anymore, it shut power to the entire strip of our warehouse. And that $10 part ended up costing the property management company over $250,000. And we had a big, back and forth with them over who was liable. And at the end of the day, it was like, hey, it's not our fault that you don't have this $10 part.
Mhm.
For your building, this is outdated, so you have to replace it anyways. Like you can't bill us. So we had a lot of like interesting stories in our trajectory.
Have you ever had someone steal from you in the book game
I mean,
besides me?
there's no stealing. Like
Just kidding.
there's no cash. Yeah, there's no cash. So nobody can steal anything. And I've always said, hey, if there's a book and you like it and it's reject, take it. I have had like missing equipment, like tools.
But I mean, like,
Missing.
have you ever like gone in on a deal with someone and they just didn't uphold their half, or like just something crazy? I've had like a few examples where people have stolen from me. I actually wrote a blog on it.
Fortunately, I didn't
Or
really
just been scammed. Like I consider this kind of, it's not stealing, but one time this guy, I mean, like, dude, any bookseller that is worth a damn would know this, but I was 2 years in the game and I was so excited. He was like, I have $3,000 worth of books that are good to sell on Amazon. He puts this on Craigslist. $3,000 worth of books. It's like 2 truckloads filled that are good to sell on Amazon. Like any person that would read that would just know that's trash. Who's going to pay $3,000 for books? And who's going to advertise books that are good to sell on Amazon as good to sell on Amazon? Why wouldn't you just sell them yourself?
Yeah.
And I got the books. They were absolutely trash, like 90s and 80s and 70s, ex-library books, terrible. All of them had to be looked up manually. I paid probably $2,000 for this guy to go through all the books. And so I lost, like I probably brought in like 700 net, but dude, honestly, paying for the removal fees and shit, I probably didn't make any money at all.
And so not to mention all your time and labor.
Yeah, and I was at the phase of my life where I'm like, I have to delegate everything. You probably saw me on social media back then. And I don't really regret it necessarily, but I was so young. Maybe I should have been putting more sweat equity in, but I was like, oh, if somebody else can do it, I'm going to have them do it. So I was like paying somebody else to scan the books. I was getting the books from someone. I was just in my head facilitating deals. But the problem is the deal wasn't profitable because the books were so trash. The books were terrible. And so, but the thing that pissed me off about that situation is looking back, that was like a 50, 60-year-old man. And he 100% knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like he was actually an Amazon seller. And so he knew how bad the books were. And that's why he drove from Chattanooga to Nashville 2 times to drop off these books, because they were more of a liability than they were, an asset.
Yeah.
And so I just
pretty good.
Yeah. It's just like, you knew what you were doing, man. And I think that that's kind of fucked up. But, I was like, man, why is this man so happy to drop off all these books? I'm like, he's losing out,
Yeah, he knew he got you. I haven't really had anything like that. I didn't really partner with people until maybe my 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the deals that I had were direct to the thrift. Maybe we bought some books that we thought were better, but they ended up being not as good, but it wasn't a scam. It was just like, they're either misrepresenting them, not knowing what they have, or, but scam. I've never run into that. Plus, I don't really trust anybody, so I'm not going to give anybody money unless I see the product, or I'm not going to get into any type of deals with people I don't really know.
Yeah,
it looks too good to be true. It probably is. So if you see something on Facebook Marketplace and somebody's selling you Gaylords for like $20, like it's probably a scam. Like don't do it.
Yeah, 100%. What was I just about to ask? Oh, about your current operation now, as much as you want to, if you want to share with us kind of like what's going on now, and kind of what, I know I asked you yesterday, but like maybe what your day-to-day looks like.
My operation today looks a lot different than when I started in the driveway or my mom's garage. Right now we have about a 24,000 square foot warehouse, and we have plus 30 employees, morning shift, night shift. It's just a big operation what we have now. It wasn't as easy as, hey, let's start in a garage. Okay, we're at a 20,000 square foot warehouse. It's been slow progression from 3,000 square feet to now we're at 6,000 square feet to where we're at now. And we've had a lot of mistakes along the way, a lot of errors that I've made personally myself as a man, as a business owner, that I've made tons of mistakes, and even mistakes as we've made as a company. So the operation, I would say it's pretty good now, but it wasn't just a straight shot to a streamlined operation that we have.
Mm-hmm. So like back then you're scanning books, doing the dirty work. What's your day look like now?
So my day now it varies. So I like to consider myself the person who does whatever needs to be done that day.
Mm-hmm.
My official job is sourcing, securing our relationship with our vendors, with our sources, acquiring new sources. I'm in charge of the logistics, the purchasing, coordinating the loads with the warehouse, and I am in charge of just some of the day-to-day stuff around the warehouse that I do. If the equipment goes down, forklifts, just actually kind of like the gritty work, the dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
If something breaks, if something's hard, I'm like, I'll do that. That's my job. I'll get in there and do it. So day to day, it varies. It's whatever needs to get done that day. That's what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And then since you've launched your Obed Cruz FBA on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
what opportunity has come from that you didn't expect? Because just so everyone knows, like you should 100% have some social media presence if you're an Amazon seller and you want to
Yes.
have success, even if you don't ever plan on selling coaching courses or anything like that. Like it's just good to be connected with the community because you'll build relationships with people, and that's where opportunity comes.
Yeah. So since launching, 1,000%, I wish I would have posted more in the beginning. I don't want to say secretive, but in my mind, I thought like nobody cares what I'm doing. I'm just scanning books in my mom's garage. Like everyone's gonna laugh at me. A little bit of both, right? Like no one cares, and I'm shy or nervous to post something that someone would judge me for.
Right.
And I looking back, like those were absolutely the best times of my whole entire journey. Like that was such a good time. I wish I would have documented that more for fuck everybody else, like at least for me, right?
Yeah.
So I can look back and look, and I sometimes I just go back and look at the photos and I'm like, wow, I remember that. But I wish it was all on one page, easy to look at. So 1,000% you should be documenting your journey. And because when I started back then, I wasn't as active as I am now, but even back then, just posting the little bit that I was posting, it led me to meet, the guys like you, the guys in the industry, like Matthew Osborne, like just people that you're not going to cross paths with at your friendly, neighborhood market. It's just guys that are like entrenched into the industry that have knowledge that you'd be lucky to be around them and learn. So back then, posting just a limited amount has allowed me to network, rub shoulders with some of the guys that were doing, what I wanted to do or that had insight into the industry that I needed to learn. And also that has allowed me to meet my current partner that I have now by just posting stuff on Instagram and, giving away information for free. That's how I met my current partner. So yeah, everybody should have a social media presence. Back then, it's what allowed me to maneuver into where I'm at now. And as of recently, it's a lot of opportunities come my way. People are asking me questions. I'll give them an answer. Where are you located? I'm in this state. Okay, well, if you ever have an extra load and you want to send it my way, I'll buy it. Like it's just kind of facilitated just opportunities.
Oh yeah,
sure. Recently, especially recently. Now I'm here talking to you. Like we're doing a podcast. Like you're having a conference.
Commented, I'm like, oh shit, he's got his own little personal brand now.
Something like that, yeah. And we know a lot of the other sellers, a lot of the book
5,000 followers, man. That's awesome.
With limited posting, so that's.
How'd you get that many so fast? Because I had to post like, how many posts do you have?
Yeah.
58 posts, dude. I had to post like fucking. Let's see how many posts I have. I have 3,600 posts. I remember. I don't
know. Maybe people just like me. I don't know.
Dude, when I had 5,000 followers,
yeah,
I think that'll be the most cocky I've ever been in my life. Like, I don't think I'll reach that level of cockiness again because it's like this naive, like 5,000 followers, made my first 6 figures profit on my fucking own. And like, dude, I just felt like I was like on top of the world. Like and now people kind of like make fun of booksellers, like in the community, like the OA guys are like, oh, that's so cute. You're starting with thrifting books. But dude, back then I was like, selling books on Amazon's the coolest fucking thing ever. I still think selling books on Amazon's cool. But back then, like there was nobody else really, there wasn't a whole lot of like little small personal brands back then. There was some people like Richie Hustles was popping off, but that's really when I was just like, dude, I would do meetups like in New York and get like 10 people together and I just feel famous, you know. Now I get recognized in public and stuff. Like I got recognized here at the gym, and honestly, like it just doesn't hit the same. Like not from like, it's like almost from like a humble perspective now of like, oh, like this person follows me, they want to learn how to make money. And like I look at it more like matter of fact and like less of like, oh, I'm the shit, you know. There's still probably a little bit of that, but dude, back then, fuck, I was just like, man, like, yeah, you know.
I will admit, like when I hit 5,000 followers, I sent a screenshot of them. I'm like, oh, I'm famous now, as a joke. I don't really care about like social media fame. Honestly, the reality is that whenever I've given information or given motivation to people, it actually makes me feel really good, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, somehow, some way, it's always come back to me with either a business opportunity or I met the right person at the right time. And I attribute that to just giving out information and knowledge and help for free. And, you know, I wish there was somebody like me 5 years ago when I first started that I could kind of, you know, see his journey or whatever. So there wasn't. So now I'm that guy. I'm like, hey, if you're out there and you're getting started and this is your first day, month, year, whatever, you know, there's guys like me and Romer out there that exist that have carved their own path in this little niche, and we're being pretty successful at it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the old guys, you know, OA, RA, they can talk all they want, but I challenge them to come to my warehouse and see our operation and, you know, laugh at me then, you know?
Yeah. There's so many ways. And usually like there's this weird paradox of selling on Amazon where it's like, okay, legitimate way to make money. Let's just say online arbitrage.
Yeah.
Guru blows up promoting that. Maybe they have a software they're selling. Maybe they have a course they're selling, whatever. Is it still a legit way to sell on Amazon? 100%.
Yeah.
But then I've kind of seen this with a few, because I'm super connected with the community. I see people sometimes go ghost and it's like, oh, they're making a lot of money now. And it's like, they're still doing like the same principles, but like, they just don't want anyone to know about them. And so then like sometimes people go ghost on social and they're like making a shit ton of money in their Amazon business. And then on the other side, you have people that are like, oh, all these like people teaching OA or books online are all scammers and blah, blah, blah. And that's also not true. Like the opportunity is good. It is there. There are some fake gurus out there. There are some real gurus out there. There are gurus that make more money selling their programs than they do on Amazon. That doesn't make them fake. It just means that they've basically monetized like attention on their social media. And that could be argued as sometimes more lucrative than selling on Amazon, but I don't think so always. I think people have this perception that gurus online make way more money than Amazon sellers, but I just know so many Amazon sellers who are like absolute fucking savages. Hence the name of the podcast, that are, you know, just bringing in so much money. And a lot of them are really low key. Like we know like a handful of mutual booksellers. They just are never on social media.
They're not. They're very quiet.
He wouldn't come on my podcast, you know, my partner.
He wouldn't. He wants to hide. We actually had some of the bigger sellers. So there's a couple out there that we didn't meet that are bigger. And it was just good to meet, like see that, okay, like this is real. Like we have a real business. They have a real business. And just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not out there. So just because you think that booksellers are just scanning the shelves here and there and walking out with a shopping cart, like there's guys that are doing like millions and millions and millions and millions a month in books. And actually, you know, some of the biggest booksellers on Amazon and eBay are booksellers. One of the largest companies, everybody knows them, Thrift Books, you know, they're doing 250 million a year. Another company's creeping up 150. So the market is huge. Don't be fooled by the OA, you know, courses. Don't be fooled by the RA. Don't be fooled, you know, the wholesale's good too, but don't think that, you know, you can't make a good living doing books if you really put your head down.
The fact is 10% of sales on Amazon are book sales. The fact is like the other 90% is online arbitrage shit. This is all just arbitrage. It's finding a book for 25 cents, flipping it for $20. It's finding the Nike socks for $12.50 after coupon codes, selling it for $30 online. It's finding, You know, maybe you're selling like beauty supplies and you can buy it for $10 and flip it for 18 and make a couple dollars profit margin. You do that. Like, it's literally just like Amazon has all this attention and all this demand, and it's just filling that demand with products. And books are a damn good way to do it because they make up 10% of all Amazon sales, which is a shit ton of sales every day. It's just find the fucking books, find the good product, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to start and learn. I quickly discovered that had I started with OA and put the same amount of energy that I did with books, you know, I'd probably be same size, but OA. If I had done RA, if I had done wholesale, whatever I started with learning, the only difference maker is that I put basically all my time and energy into it.
Yep.
So any avenue that you choose on Amazon, I just stay with it, focus, and go savage, like the podcast says. Go ham, put your head down. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. 90% of it's bullshit anyways. Just keep your head down, get to work, and grow your company. Don't get sidetracked by the next shiny object, and you'll be successful.
100%. Well, thanks for coming on, brother. They can follow you. I'll link all your socials below. You got Instagram. What else? Do you have anything else you want us to link?
That's it, bro. just on the gram. That's it.
Okay, cool. So slide in the DMs, ask him any questions, and thanks for coming on, brother.
Hey, appreciate you having me, man. Let's do this again sometime.
Heck yeah. And real quick, for anyone that doesn't know, I got a challenge called Feed the Beast Challenge. This is all about sending your first profitable shipment to Amazon FBA, or maybe you're already sending shipments to Amazon FBA. You just want to send more profitable books to Amazon. That comes with my $400 course, 100% free. It comes with weekly live meetings. We're going to meet tomorrow night. Actually, tonight. Need to go on. I'm about to go on a canoe date right now with this girl. I need to get out of here and go pick her up. But you guys can click below and you'll see all the challenge information. So much love, and thanks for coming on, Obed.